This poor Game Boy Pocket's looking a little dingy these days. And it's missing some parts. Guess it's time to give it an eXtremeRate makeover. Very excited to share with you all today another customization kit from our friends at eXtremeRate. So today we're going to be just fixing up an old Game Boy Pocket that has seen some better days with a nice new custom like racing red metallic red shell from eXtremeRate. So really loving eXtremeRate kits. I've covered a number of their products on the channel over the past year or so, and one of my favorites being the NES themed Game Boy Color I have here. It's a little dirty since I leave it on my desk because I kind of use it a little bit more than I thought I would, but it's a really nice kit, really well made, very solid. And then you combine that with a nice little backlight mod, and it was just a fun little project to do. And then also modded out a Game Boy Advance and my DualSense that we've covered most recently with the clicky button kits. So eXtremeRate offers a lot of customization options, and I'm really fond of them, but the shell replacements have been some of my favorites. So let's go ahead and dive into the Game Boy Pocket. So to get started with this process, we have one standard Game Boy Pocket, non-modded in any way, shape, or form, copy of Pokemon Red in it that I have made a Mew distribution cart. And then we have our eXtremeRate kit. Now, one of the things that I love most about eXtremeRate stuff is that they include all the tools that you need to do these modding projects. So we have a Tri-Wing and Phillips screwdriver right here that we can then use to open our Game Boy Pocket. So we don't need to have any additional tools, in case you've never bought a toolkit for any of these mods or anything like that before. But we have the main shell here, so we'll open this up and take a look at it here. Again, Racing Red is what I like to call it. I like how there was like a nice little Ziploc bag type thing to it, but I just kind of ripped it open. But the shell itself has a soft touch finish, which feels really good. It's the same as what we saw in the Game Boy Color here, so it's just a really nice feel to it. And then the two different sides of it. Sorry, my camera angle's a little off, so I need to make sure that I am correcting that so we can actually see everything. But color comparison, you can see that this one is much more metallic than the matte red that it originally was, but it keeps the same red spirit, which is what I was hoping to go for here. So really like that. And then inside this other bag, we have a number of new screws, a new metallic backplate for the cartridge port here. We have a new glass window for the front of the screen. And again, replacement screws. And then we have a sticker here that is mimicking Nintendo's official back sticker. That's actually kind of funny. New membranes and buttons for the controls. So they might not feel the same as your old one, but that is a-okay with me because these ones are a little worn down. And then new black buttons to go along with it. But if you want to have the same feel, you can just replace it with the buttons that you have on your current Pocket. So I mean, the gray might be a little bit nicer than just pure black. I'll need to decide if I want to do that or not. And then the last thing in here is the other end of the battery compartment. So that'll go in the back here in the battery compartment. Just right here, I believe. Just like that. But we'll get to that when we get to it. Alright. Let's move some stuff out of my way here real quick. So unlike the other eXtremeRate mods that I've done where I've swapped out the screen entirely, I'm keeping the original screen for the Game Boy Pocket this time around. I don't use it enough to justify buying a new screen for it yet, so new case will suffice for now, especially since I'll actually have to trim the replacement case. But we'll just go ahead and get this all opened up. And there we go, back panel removed. These last three screws were kind of stuck in there a bit, so there we go, we got them free finally. So if you want to keep the original screws, you can. But again, the kit does come with replacement screws for everything. So up at the top, we have our power switch. Just going to set that aside. The volume and contrast sliders are built into the pocket. But now that it's open, it's a good time to check to see if there's any cap leaks or anything like that. Not personally seeing anything, but I'm not going to be bothering too much with cleaning this at the moment. But anyway, so all that remains, it looks like, are just a couple more Phillips head screwdrivers here, and we're ready to take the main board out. So let's go ahead and take care of that. All right, and there we go. So that is now out. I'm going to disconnect the ribbon cable from the screen real quick so that way we can work on getting the screen out of its adhesive without damaging anything. So there we go. So there is the main board of the Game Boy Pocket. Very cool. So just going to set that on here real quick. But yeah, so here we have the old membranes, old start select, old D-pad, and then the old face buttons. So I'll just pull those out in case I want to use them in the next kit. So from here, getting the screen removed can be a tad tricky because it can break if you are not careful. There we go. Just peel it up nice and carefully. There we go. And there we go. Screen is now pulled up. There is our old shell, now unneeded. So, time to just start reassembling this with the new shell. So, I'm going to try to maintain all of these original parts for the adhesive. Looks like it's pretty much intact. If I could just put it down pretty carefully, I should be able to reuse that without any trouble. Then I can flip it over, make sure that it's lined up, and it looks pretty spot on. Cool. Not seeing any adhesive sticking out from under there, so I think that we got it in good positioning. We'll be able to pull it back up and replace it, reposition it if needed. But I want to hurry up and put this on so that way there isn't any dust that gets trapped inside the screen. That's always been a problem with when I do screen mods. We live in a dusty location, so I always end up with dust under my screen. But oh no. Alright, so it looks like this shield is a little foggy. Nothing too deal breaking, but definitely not as clear as you might hope. Maybe it has another protective film over the front here actually. Yeah, it does. Okay. And it looks like this is plastic and not glass. I was misspoken earlier. They're GBA kits, and I believe the Game Boy Color kit came with glass. So, looks like this one might just be plastic. But yeah, there's totally another protector here, so it's not foggy, it's just the other protector. But I'm just going to slide that into position here real quick, so that way we don't get dust under the screen. And there we go. That's what it'll look like. I just need to get this protective film taken off the front to really clear that up. Yeah, there we go. Now we're talking. That is crisp. There we go. That's beautiful. Very cool. So now the decision comes. Do we want to use the original black buttons, or original gray buttons, or the replacement black ones? So I don't know. Like, I can't decide if I want to go with original gray or black. I kind of want to stick with the original gray. I don't know. Let's take a quick look. Let's take a quick look, see what it looks like with both options here. So there's the original gray. It looks official. Not bad. But then we have this black one, and that's definitely very visually striking. Yeah, I'm gonna go with the black ones then. I'm gonna go with the replacement black buttons. Like, those look really good. The contrast in that is very cool. All right. So then we got A and B here. So it shouldn't matter where these two go since they're not individually labeled. And it looks like they fit just fine. Then we got the power button there for when we do that. Now, where did that start and select button go? There they are. It's with the membranes. All right, cool. So we'll open up our replacement membrane pads here. Slide that over the face buttons. Put start and select in place. Shouldn't matter which way I orient that one, I think. And now for the D-pad. Let's see here. Don't think it matters which way it goes as long as it lines up with these pins. Trying to make sure I have everything in the camera angle. There we go. So that should be good. And it looks to be the case. Very good. All right, so there we go. Now we just need to put the main board back in. Get this speaker lined up. That's the big one right there. There we go. Ooh, yes, those new membranes feel very crisp. Not quite like an official controller or Game Boy Pocket, but it feels crisp. Very, very nice feel to it. And since I can, I'll just reuse the original screws for the Game Boy Pocket to screw this guy back down. All right, now that that's secured, I'm gonna reattach the screen to the main board here. And then the power button needs to go inside here, other way. There we go. Ah, I can do it. I can do it, I swear. There we go. So there we go. There's our new power button. Of course, it's there we go. Perfect. So now I just need to put this little back metal plate in for the cartridge port, and it'll go like this, I believe, or not. Maybe like this. There we go. That's how it goes. So that way the cartridge can't bump into anything on the internal side of the Game Boy Pocket or get lost somehow. Be quite a miracle for it to get lost, I guess, but doesn't hurt. There we go. And there we go. That's ready to go. So now, just need to combine the two parts, join the two infinity stones. That's not a good comparison. All right, so power button's still in the right place. Everything is lined up. Good. So it should just go together here. Can't get it to go down quite right. Yeah, there's something going on with right here. Not sure what that could be, considering it's all lined up perfectly otherwise. So, odd. All right, and there we go. Racing Red Game Boy Pocket reassembled. Add a nice little more official looking sticker to the back here to make it look like an actual Game Boy Color again. And there we go. Finishing touch. Very cool. Then our game can just slide right on in. Alright, and then finally we just need to put the battery arm in here. Again, just slide it in. It should latch into place. There we go. And then we can just put our batteries in. Close the back lid. And ta-da! Game Boy Pocket, new screen, or no, not a new screen, but Game Boy Pocket, new shell mod, now complete, and everything appears to be lined up a-okay for my tastes. And it is just working beautifully. Let's see if my Mew save is still on here. Yep, sure is. So again, this was a Mew distribution cart save that I put on here, so there's just a ton of little Mews in here. But very cool. Very happy with how this feels and looks. Like, it feels really good. It looks really good. I will say that it is still a little off-centered on this one. This is one of their older kits, so it might not be as good as their newer ones, but it still looks pretty good. I might try to disassemble it and realign it a little bit later, but overall I'm really happy with how this looks and feels. I think this is a great look for the Game Boy Pocket. So there it is, the new Racing Red Game Boy Pocket, as I like to call it. It's just that metallic shine that really brings that racing aesthetic to me, I guess. But overall, the kit feels fantastic. It's very easy to install, but I am a little concerned about how it doesn't quite seem to line up right after the main board's installed, even though everything is technically lined up. So not as good as their Game Boy Color kits, that's for sure. Like, this thing is just absolutely flawless. Again, this might be like an older revision of their shells, because they've come out with new revisions of shells and stuff, but I'm still happy with it. It has a little quirk about that alignment, but I mean, it gets the job done, and it definitely looks a lot better than the old beat-up shell that I have. So overall, I like it. It would be cool if instead of having like the silk printed start select A, B, like it could have been just like raised, kind of like what they did with their fake Nintendo logo. Like, that would have been a cool addition, I think. But overall, looks good, functions good, but just slightly misaligned here, as you can see. So I'm gonna have to see if they have come out with new versions of their Game Boy Color kits or not, or Game Boy Pocket kits rather. But overall, still very happy with it, like I said. But anyway, I think it's time to call this one. So thank you so much again to eXtremeRate for sending out this Game Boy Pocket shell for us to try out, check out, and show off here for all of you today. Show off the install process. Again, not very complicated to do the shell mods on a lot of these older systems. Just a couple screws, swap it over, good to go. But now, big thank you to each and every one of you for watching today's video. Really appreciate it. Really appreciate each and every one of you coming in and hanging out and just checking out what we do on the channel. Really means a lot. Helps us keep it growing and bringing more content like this, tutorials, reviews, everything under the sun. So thank you once again. But I do have a couple of favors to ask you here at the end. Be sure to hit that thumbs up, thumbs down button, depending on how much you like this video, as well as that sub button notification bell so you can see when new videos go live on the channel. Loads coming your way, and I'd always love to have you along for the ride. But for anyone interested in further helping support the channel, you can check out that join button here on YouTube or the Patreon link that'll appear somewhere right here. But big thank you to all of our current backers. You are amazing. Thank you for helping us keep this place going, growing, and staying strong. You're champs. We thank you. But until next time, my wonderful internet peeps, y'all stay awesome. Keep on gaming. We'll see you back next video.